They searched for a monster for over 3 decades, but what they found in the end was even more shocking. This case isn't just a story of a crime. It's a deep, dark shadow that fell over an entire nation. This is the story of Christine Jessup, and it's arguably the most horrifying cold case in Canadian history. October 3rd, 1984. The small, peaceful town of Queensville, Ontario, is about to lose its innocence forever. It's a crisp autumn afternoon, and 9-year-old Christine Jessup has just returned home from school. Like any kid her age, she's eager to get outside and play. She drops off her school books, tells her mom she's heading to a nearby park to meet a friend, and walks out the door. It was the last time her family would see her alive. As afternoon turned to evening, a sense of unease began to settle over the Jessup home. Christine wasn't back. Her parents, Bob and Janet, started making calls. No one had seen her. The local park was empty. Panic began to set in. They called the police, and a massive search was launched. Hundreds of volunteers, neighbors, and police officers scoured the fields, forests, and streets of Queensville. Flyers with Christine's smiling face were plastered everywhere. The entire community held its breath, praying for her safe return. But days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months, with no sign of the little girl with the bright smile. The hope that had once fueled the search began to fade, replaced by a growing, gnawing dread. Then, on New Year's Eve, almost 3 months after she vanished, a grim discovery was made. More than 50 kilometers away from her home, in a rural area in Durham region, Christine Jessup's body was found. The details were horrific. She had been brutally assaulted and murdered. The news shattered the nation. The senseless, violent death of a 9-year-old girl turned a missing person case into a full-blown murder investigation that would grip Canada for years to come. The public was outraged, heartbroken, and demanding justice. They wanted the monster who did this caught and brought to justice, and the pressure on law enforcement was immense. The police were desperate for a lead, any lead. Their attention soon focused on someone close to the family, Guy Paul Morin, the Jessup's 24-year-old next-door neighbor. Morin was a bit of an oddball, a quiet man who played the clarinet and worked at a furniture factory. To the police, his behavior seemed suspicious. He was questioned extensively, and despite a lack of any physical evidence connecting him to the crime, the police became convinced he was their man. In the court of public opinion, fueled by media reports, Morin was already seen as a strange and suspicious character. In April 1985, he was arrested and charged with the first-degree murder of Christine Jessup. The first trial, in 1986, was a media circus. The prosecution painted Morin as a weird, reclusive figure capable of a monstrous act. The defense argued there was zero physical evidence. The jury was deadlocked, and a mistrial was declared. But the Crown wasn't giving up. They were determined to secure a conviction. For 6 years, Guy Paul Morin lived under a cloud of suspicion, his life in limbo. Then, in 1992, he was tried again. This time, the prosecution's case relied heavily on jailhouse informant testimony, often notoriously unreliable, and what they claimed was a microscopic fiber found in Morin's car that matched one from Christine's clothing. This time, the jury delivered a verdict, guilty. Guy Paul Morin was sentenced to life in prison. The Jessup family, and much of the public, believed justice had finally been served. But for Morin and his supporters, the fight was far from over. They maintained his innocence, insisting he was the victim of a terrible miscarriage of justice. His case became a rallying cry for those who believed in the fallibility of the legal system. As Morin sat in prison, a new, powerful tool was emerging in the world of forensic science: DNA analysis. Morin's legal team fought relentlessly for the right to have the evidence from the crime scene, specifically semen stains found on Christine's underwear, retested using this groundbreaking technology. For years, the original samples had been thought to be too degraded for proper analysis. But science had advanced. In 1995, the results came in, and they were explosive. The DNA found on Christine Jessup did not belong to Guy Paul Morin. It was irrefutable, scientific proof of his innocence. The verdict was overturned, and Morin was officially exonerated. He had spent 18 months in prison for a crime he did not commit. The revelation sent shockwaves across Canada. The system had failed. An innocent man had been convicted, and worse, the real killer had been walking free for over a decade. The investigation was back to square one, but now it was a cold case, haunted by the specter of a wrongful conviction. A public inquiry was launched, which exposed a cascade of errors, tunnel vision, and flawed evidence handling by the police and prosecutors. It was a national embarrassment. For another quarter of a century, the case remained cold. Who killed Christine Jessup? The question lingered, unanswered. The DNA profile of the unknown killer sat in a national database, but no matches were ever found. The Jessup family was left without answers, and Guy Paul Morin was left to rebuild a life that had been stolen from him. It seemed the truth might be buried forever, but technology continued to evolve. In 2019, Toronto police decided to try one last time, using a new technique called genetic genealogy. This was the same method used to catch the Golden State Killer in the U.S. Investigators took the killer's DNA profile and uploaded it to public genealogy websites like Ancestry DNA and 23andMe to search for distant relatives. They built out a massive family tree, painstakingly piecing together a puzzle that spanned generations. After months of tireless work, they narrowed it down to a single family branch and then to one man. In October 2020, 36 years to the day after Christine vanished, the police announced a stunning breakthrough. They had identified the killer. His name was Calvin Hoover. He was a friend of the Jessup family, someone who had been present in their lives, someone they trusted. He had even been questioned briefly by police in the early days of the investigation, but was quickly dismissed as a person of interest. But the most shocking part of the revelation was this: justice would never be served in a courtroom. Calvin Hoover had taken his own life in 2015. He had lived for 3 decades with his dark secret and died without ever facing accountability. The news brought a complex and bittersweet sense of closure. The mystery was solved, but the man responsible was beyond the reach of the law. He had watched an innocent man go to prison for his crime and never said a word. The case of Christine Jessup is a chilling saga of a stolen childhood, a devastating miscarriage of justice, and a truth that came far too late. It serves as a stark reminder that the search for justice can be a long, painful, and imperfect journey. A murdered child, a wrongful conviction, and a killer who escaped to the grave. This wasn't just a crime. It was a national nightmare that still sends chills down the spine today. What do you think? Was justice in any real sense ever truly served in this case? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this story as compelling as I did, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because we have many more haunting mysteries to explore together. See you next time.